Last week, Fantastic Four First Steps opened in theaters, so now it's time to rank all 4 Fantastic Four movies from worst to best. Yes, I know there are 5 movies, but the one from the 90s can't be found anywhere legally, and I don't want Disney's lawyers breaking down my door. In last place is Fantastic Four from 2015, or Fant4stick, a movie that takes itself way too seriously, and you can tell was hacked to pieces in the editing room by studio interference. The director has gone on record and apologized for this movie, saying it wasn't the version he intended, and it was ruined by executive meddling. The cast is all way too young to be believable as these characters. They don't become the Fantastic Four until halfway through the movie, and even then they don't do much, as anything that could have been interesting is montaged through or skipped over entirely. This movie is a mess, and certainly not fantastic. Number 3, Fantastic Four from 2005. While this isn't a great movie by any means, it came out at a time where we hadn't really discovered the formula for a great comic book movie yet, and so it's a bit more forgivable. It still has some value. Apart from Jessica Alba, who I think was drastically miscast, the cast in this does a great job. They are at least around the right age to play these characters, which is more than I can say for the 2015 version, and they have moments where they work well off each other. Chris Evans as the Human Torch is certainly a standout, as he plays the cocky, arrogant bad boy. However, it's less of a Fantastic Four movie and more of a Thing movie, as the Thing is essentially the main character. However, they do write him pretty well, as you can feel his struggle to try to fit in now that he's a rock monster. The third act is rushed, and Doom is pretty underused, but it's still a decent enough film. Number 2, Silver Surfer. This one has a lot more fun. It focuses on the Fantastic Four as a team. Lawrence Fishburne gives a great voice performance as Silver Surfer, but again, the third act is where it falls apart, as fighting a giant cloud just isn't that exciting. The scenes of the team switching their powers are fun, but again, Jessica Alba brings this movie down, and she doesn't seem like she's having fun, unlike the rest of the cast. And in first place is First Steps. Not only does it finally get the tone and the characters right, but refreshingly it's an MCU project that doesn't require homework, and it's a reboot that doesn't retell the origin story again. It explains the origin, but it doesn't spend half the movie on it. It's more akin to the intro of the CW Arrowverse shows. And the film is set on an alternate Earth, not the main MCU Earth, so it's not tied down to other MCU projects and is given more free reign. Director Matt Shakman directed the WandaVision series, and this movie very much feels like the early episodes of that show that were pastiches of the 50s and 60s. The first 2 Fantastic Four movies were live-action cartoons in a bad way, but this is a live-action cartoon in the best way, mixed with old 1950s and 60s sci-fi serials. It's one part The Jetsons, one part Lost in Space, and one part Flash Gordon. It knows it's campy and embraces it, while at the same time not going too far with it. And it's refreshing to see a superhero film where the heroes are revered, not feared. There's been a lot of nihilistic comic book properties where the heroes are feared, and the government seeks to control and regulate them. But much like the Adam West Batman show from the 60s, the authorities are cool with the heroes. Michael Giacchino does the score here, and his score is very reminiscent of his work on The Incredibles, the J.J. Abrams Star Trek films, and Tomorrowland. Unlike the previous iterations of Fantastic Four, where the chemistry between the actors fell flat, these actors actually feel like a real family, and work well off each other with gentle loving ribbing, and being willing to do anything for each other. This is one of the most human, emotional MCU films as of late. My only real criticism is the pacing can drag in certain parts. Compared to the majority of the MCU, there's not as much action, and there are certain scenes that I feel were over-explained and go on for a bit too long, so maybe the pacing could have been tightened a bit, but that's a nitpick. The film is still nothing short of fantastic, and it comes in at number 1. So you can share the Fantastic Four movies that you've seen, and you can include the illegal one in there if you want. I'm just not going to, and I'll see you next time.